2, 1.
7 things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Sunday Set.
In today's episode, we learn why video calls are bad for creativity, a man has his penis reattached, and we dive into the world of lab-made breast milk. But first, it was this day in 1348 that a ship from Bordeaux carrying the plague landed in Dorset, spelling the arrival of the Black Death in England. Hidden in an industrial park outside of Oxford in the UK, a group of scientists claim they're on the verge of solving a global conundrum: how to create the energy needed to power the world cleanly and safely. As energy prices and the cost of living soar across the UK and Ireland, these scientists say they've found the answer: to harness the power of nuclear fusion. Unlike the nuclear fission process used in traditional power plants, fusion doesn't create radioactive waste as a harmful byproduct. In nuclear fission, huge amounts of energy are created by splitting an atom. This energy then heats pools of water, the steam from which turns turbines to generate electricity. So how does this new technology work? Well, developed by First Light Fusion, it involves firing a projectile ignited by gunpowder down a giant gun, where it eventually hits a target to release energy.
Charging. Fire!
Blimey. The resulting reaction's called fusion. It's the same process that powers the sun and the stars. Giving a tour of their lab to Euronews, CEO and co-founder Dr. Nick Hawker explains their unique process. Gunpowder ignites a series of projectiles which hit a special target, but that's not the important part of the technology.
It's not about the projectile, it's about what it hits. And that's our target, and the target focuses the energy of the projectile into fusion fuel. And what you see here are all our neutron detectors, which are measuring that fusion event happening.
Despite the fact that it's only produced a very small amount of energy, the company says it's a first step and important proof that fusion can be created more simply and cheaply.
Why is this important for fusion and for society? Well, this is a new approach to fusion. It's never been explored before. I think any time there's a new approach, that's significant for the field. If we can get this to work, our pathway to a power plant is much simpler and potentially much quicker.
Around the world, video meetings have become the new normal, but what impact could this have on our work? Well, according to new research, one important skill is impacted by the restrictions of video calls: creativity.
This work looks at what we are now calling the new normal, which is virtual interaction, and how that might affect innovation.
That's Melanie Brucks, the author of the study, speaking with Nature, and she carried out this research.
Participants would either go into the same physical space, which was just an empty lab room, or we would split them into 2 separate lab rooms and have them communicate with video technology. And we had them generate ideas. There's around a 2.5 idea difference. So in-person groups are generating around 16 or 17 ideas, whereas the virtual condition is generating between 13 and 15.
But is that really surprising?
A lot of people mentioned, Zoom's just a worse version. Of course, people are just bad at Zoom. Like, everything is going to be worse at Zoom.
Maybe this had nothing to do with creativity. So Melanie tested this with a second task, asking participants to identify their most creative idea. This requires very different skills to the brainstorming task.
But what's interesting is Zoom wasn't universally bad, or video conferencing wasn't universally bad. When it came to idea selection, we found, if anything, the virtual condition was better.
So what is it that makes idea generation, and only idea generation, so much harder over a video call?
We looked at how much participants felt they connected with the other through self-report. We looked at unconscious connection through mimicry. We looked at trust through a monetary gain. We also looked at whether there was crosstalk, where people were talking over each other for communication coordination. What we find is, for the social connection, no difference between conditions. For the communication coordination, we did find slight differences, but it couldn't explain the effect.
But there was one big difference that Melanie spotted by tracking people's gaze.
Are you looking at your partner? Are you looking at the surrounding environment? Or are you looking at the task? And it's interesting, again, if you ask people what their intuition is, they think that there's more social connection when we're in person, and so we probably engage with our partner more. But we found the exact opposite. So we found that in the virtual condition, people are looking significantly more at their partner, almost double. And because of that, it's at the expense of their broader environment. I have the entire environment as our shared environment. Wherever I look, that is going to be part of my partner's environment too. However, when we're talking virtually, our shared environment is pretty limited to the screen. And we thought that this could lead to more focus, which should hurt idea generation because we're actually the most creative when we're unfocused and free.
So rather than online conversations being inherently always better or worse, it could be that we need to adjust how we talk based on what we want to achieve. Creativity and innovation are important in a lot of jobs, but online meetings still offer some advantages. Melanie's keen to test her theories further, but there's a bit of a problem.
All of this research has been halted because we can't collect in-person data without people wearing masks, and that, of course, completely changes the experience. So there's tons of different experiments I would love to run that I haven't been able to do because we can't run in-person studies right now.
But for now, Melanie's work has certainly given us plenty of food for thought. Still to come on the Sunday 7, a revolutionary new tool to teach female anatomy, and how often do you wash your sheets? How often should you be changing and washing your bed sheets? Well, research has shown the public can't agree on an answer, and a new survey of 2,250 UK adults has found another, perhaps not all too surprising split. Lindsay Browning, a chartered psychologist, neuroscientist and sleep expert, joined BBC Radio Kent to set the record straight.
This was a survey of over 2,000 adults, and it found that of all the people, different ages, single or not single, that single men were pretty much the worst, and they 45% of them only changed their bed sheets once every 3 to 4 months. So it could be perhaps why they're single, would be my gut instinct on that one.
Not only that, but 12% of single men also admitted they wash them when they remember, which could be even longer. Ugh. So what's the right answer? Is there a definitive timeline to how often we should be washing our sheets?
Yeah, so we have to balance it with obviously the environment and not spending too much energy and wasting too much water. But when we sleep, we get rid of our dead skin cells, we sweat, as well as being physically dirty. So they do get very grubby. We really should be washing them about every week or 2 weeks at the most, and more frequently if it's hot weather. So in the summer, we'll need to wash them more frequently than in the winter. But yeah, every 1 to 2 weeks at the max would be recommended for best sleep.
And if you go beyond that, what are the implications apart from stinking?
If you wait too long, then the sheets obviously will get... We sweat a lot during the night, so they'll get full of all this sweat, and that will mean that the airflow won't go through the covers. And to sleep well, we need to be cool, and we need air to be able to flow to keep us refreshed and cool during the night. If our bed sheets are, in essence, sort of soaked in sweat and dead skin cells, we're just not going to have that lovely airflow, as well as the smell. It's going to smell horrible. We sleep so much better when we get into our bed, and it's a wonderful, relaxing, calming place to be. So if we have freshly laundered, good-smelling sheets, we're going to sleep even better because we feel happy to be in our bed.
Apart from some fresh sheets, for those who are struggling with sleep, what else can we do?
I'm seeing so many more people in my clinic that are struggling with sleep at the moment since COVID. So a lot of times it's because we get into a bad habit. If we're not sleeping well at night, then we might decide to cancel our morning meetings and have a lie-in. We might try to go to bed extra early to make up for the fact that we're not sleeping well. And then all that we do is we end up spending longer and longer in bed, getting more and more frustrated and fed up that we can't sleep. So actually, going to bed at a regular time, waking up every morning at the same time is one of the best things that you can do. And making sure that your bedroom and your bed is a happy, relaxing place to be, where you feel calm and happy, and not somewhere that you're also working in or scrolling through your phone in bed, meaning that your brain gets confused. You know, is my bed for sleep or is my bed for looking at TikTok cat videos?
And if you find yourself constantly counting sheep at night...
The first thing that I tell all my clients is it's really normal to wake up in the night. Just because you're woken up in the middle of the night doesn't mean your sleep is suddenly broken of poor quality, because everyone wakes up lots of times. We just don't remember it. So what you want to do is to get back to sleep again in a reasonably short amount of time. So things that you can try when you've woken up in the middle of the night are maybe some slow, deep breathing. That can be really helpful because that helps to lower your heart rate, helps to relax your mind and your body. You could also try, if you wake up and your brain is just busy and you're thinking, oh no, I've got a presentation tomorrow, and you start worrying, then try to do something to refocus your brain. So thinking about a relaxing scenery is a great idea. So imagine yourself on a beautiful beach, walking along the beach, your feet dipping in the toes of the lovely sand and the sea, and just really focus on something else relaxing rather than allowing your brain to just keep thinking, oh yes, I really should have replied to that work email, and if I don't get to sleep soon, then oh my goodness, tomorrow's going to be a disaster.
A new 3D female anatomy model is being used to better treat women.
Previously, the teaching of anatomy has always been based on the male form, and then the differences in females added on as an almost strange kind of adjunct.
That's Professor of Anatomy Claire Smith speaking with the BBC. The tool's developers say that it's the most detailed female anatomy ever produced. Its aim is to provide a better understanding of the female body and to help prevent women getting incorrectly diagnosed.
The female skeleton is slightly more slender in its nature. It's amazing to see all the really intricate detail of the female pelvis. So it's not just a uterus stuck into a male pelvis, it's completely designed with all of the female form.
Currently, Brighton and Sussex Medical School are using this tool to teach first-year medical students. Several studies show that women are more likely than men to be misdiagnosed for a range of conditions. And the hope is that having both male and female anatomies in exquisite detail will help prepare the doctors of the future provide more equitable care.
Still to come on the Sunday 7, a man and his penis are reunited and the future of 3D organ printing. Right after this.
You're listening to the Sunday 7. Follow us for your weekday news espresso, or even try our Ireland edition. It's in all the usual places. A man who spent 6 years with a penis on his arm after an operation went wrong has finally had it reattached to its rightful place. 45-year-old Malcolm MacDonald had his penis amputated in 2014 after a blood infection caused it to decay. Ugh. A year later, doctors revealed he could have a new penis grafted from the skin on his arm. However, a lack of oxygen in his blood during surgery meant doctors had to abort midway and stuck the 6-inch penis to his left arm temporarily. His journey to reattachment was captured by Channel 4 in a new documentary aptly named The Man with a Penis on His Arm. There are 2 other subjects in the film, Anik, who was born with an underdeveloped penis, and Lee, who was born without a penis at all and only obtained one through surgery at the age of 42. The surgery in question is called a Phalloplasty, and for Malcolm, it couldn't have come any sooner.
9 hours. First thing I done was look down and oh my days, they got it right this time. Talked around for 6 years with a cock on my arm. So, it's gone now, little bugger.
Breast milk is the perfect food for babies, but not all mothers are able to breastfeed, and with adoption or surrogacy, some parents don't have that option. Enter BIOMILQ, the North Carolina-based startup working to create human milk outside of the body. The idea first came to co-founder and chief science officer Leila Strickland in 2013 after she heard about the world's first lab-grown burger. A cell biologist by training, Strickland wondered if similar technology could be used to culture human milk-producing cells. It turns out you can.
This realization quickly led to my second question, which was, can we collect the milk that the cells are making?
Globally, only 1 in 3 babies receives as much breast milk in their first 6 months as experts recommend, says the World Health Organization. Instead, many parents rely on formula. Often based on powdered cow's milk, formula is able to satisfy the nutritional requirements, but it can't replicate the complexity of human milk.
We at BIOMILQ are designing a production process to harness the full molecular complexity of human milk, while a number of other groups in this space are also making progress on the production of individual components that can be used to make a variety of dairy products. BIOMILQ is distinct in our commitment to producing the full constellation, which is especially critical for a nutrition product that's intended for babies.
The BioMilk team creates its product from cells taken from human breast tissue and milk donated by women in the local community. They then grow the cells in flasks, feeding them nutrients and then incubating them in a bioreactor that mimics the environment in a breast. Here, the cells absorb more nutrients and secrete milk components.
Unlike cultured meat, our cells are not the end product themselves, but rather they are the producers. This is a significant benefit as it means that we're able to sustain a production run over many months, during which time each cell will reproduce its own mass in milk many, many times over.
It's the first step towards a potential solution for parents who can't breastfeed, but BioMilk is still at least 3 years away from selling their product. The startup needs to grow mammary cells at a much larger scale and at a lower cost. But most importantly, they still need to convince regulators that the product is safe for our most vulnerable humans. Imagine a future where, instead of waiting for a match, your local hospital could print an ear organ made from your own cells. This technology, called bioprinting, is the main focus of research for Dr. Christophe Marquette, Director of Research at the French National Centre for Scientific Research.
We've made some cartilage, we are working on lung, some people are working on liver also. We aim to 3D bioprint some skin directly on patients. The patient will be some people that have severe burns, so third-degree burns on the skin. The idea is to make it directly in the surgery theater.
So how does this process work?
The vocabulary of the printing, there is the machine, the printer, and there is the ink. And in our case, it's a bioprinter, so we have a bio-ink. So the idea is to take a few cells from the patient, we put this in the bio-ink. So this bio-ink need to host the cells and keep the cells alive. So they need oxygen, they need sugar, they need a lot of things, a lot of water, a little bit of, we call it biomaterial, so it's proteins and things like that. And then you have the robotic part, a robotic arm which is moving on top of the skin and is putting on top of the skin some gel with the human cells inside. So the people are working as an incubator. It's a regeneration, it's not a grafting.
Science still has a long way to go before transplants will happen, but Christophe is in no doubt it can be done. Significant work's already been made on simpler tissues like skin, but researchers around the world are working on the early stages of printing vital organs like lungs, hearts and livers.
And the idea there is to put this large tissue in special devices that looks like you're inside the body, for example. So the temperature is controlled, you can inject some information or give some information, special information. So it looks futuristic, looks like a science fiction, but it has to be done. So then when you get this, then you're ready for whatever you want. You can make a liver, you can make a heart, you can make a lung. So that's the next step. I think 20 years, not before.
Christophe's team is currently working on a project known as Block Print in partnership with the French military. Their goal is to regenerate skin on burn victims using bioprinting directly in the operating theatre. But Christophe is contemplating the ethical implications of printing entire organs.
Patching some people that are burned everywhere, it's a completely different approach or completely different way of thinking the medicine than, okay, I can grow your heart, I can grow your liver, I can grow your kidney. What will be the impact on the people and their behavior if they know that they can have this? I'm pretty sure it will be done. I'm not sure yet if it's interesting for the society or not, but I don't know.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.